Tarumbeta italia katika anga
like this.
Hatutoroki leo. Zima hiyo kitu, mkutano iendelee. Zima hiyo kitu, mkutano iendelee.
Nene. So jana kuna vile Sifuna alikuwa ameishia maside za NTV na kabaki ameulizwa juu ya plans zao za win the next election. And kama yeye mwenyewe anaweza kuwa interested na kujoin also naitwa the United Opposition. And it was interesting because I think we live in the time of political correctness. So what I was expecting Sifuna was to maybe worry about what the woke folks of Kenya would think. And I was surprised that he was able to give an honest answer. Because kuna wasewishigi like in this ideal world. And in this ideal world, what happens is everyone who's involved in voting has to everyone who has to be voted for has to be super clean, najua. And sometimes that reality is not possible. So what happens, unapataga wase kama wanasema if blah 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 and blah 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 are on the ballot, then I'll not vote. But literally I think when you don't vote, you vote for the worst guy between the two. So wacha tusikize vile Sifuna aliansa hiyo swali.
On Sunday, at a rally in Nairobi, Eugene Omalo, the leader of DAP-K, among the other leaders of the United Alternative Government, as they call it now, said, we'd like to reach out to Sifuna and the others who were in Kakamega yesterday. Let's work together, because all of us have the same objective, one term for William Ruto. Will you reach out to them?
I think there is a general acceptance, if you speak to ordinary Kenyans, is that we need an overwhelming repudiation of William Ruto and everything that he stands for. You know? It has to be overwhelming. We must beat William Ruto by at least 5 million votes. Just Kenyans to demonstrate we reject this sort of thing. So that it is a lesson and a precedent for the entire country that if you ever build a government that does not listen to the people, we will send you home. That precedent is critical for the future of this country.
Okay. So nasikia vile ameanza hiyo story. And talking about a government not listening to the people. Igava, of course, ulikuwa na stories taxes in 2024. They ended up ignoring. History ya SHA, watu walikataa. They still implemented it. Na pia story ya the housing levy. The housing levy, people have not been happy with their paychecks being raided. They still did that. Alafu right now, nachiki hata vile imecome to stories za KRA, where wanaambia KRA that KRA needs to ask everyone to have, what is it called, like e-teams. This is going to kill a lot of businesses, small businesses. Why? Because kuna vitu hawezi pata e-teams out here. Najua kama mnakuaga mna order chakula huku nje, mama wa nyanya hata kuwa na e-teams. And so there is that. So they are not listening to the people. And that's one of the things where they are so arrogant, and that arrogance is the one that makes me look at them like maybe they know something that we don't. But wacha tuendelee.
So in order for you to achieve that overwhelming repudiation, there is a common understanding amongst the population that we must approach this election as a unit. We must be one force against William Ruto. Yeah. I want to give this assurance here, because there's people who think that our movement is going to split the vote or anything like that. Yeah. That is not what our intention is. I want to assure anybody who believes that our country cannot afford another 5-year term for William Ruto, we will not be the problem. That's what I'm telling Kenyans this morning. We will not be the problem.
Damn. Umsejo yena William. Nagwaga ni personal. Yeah? Another 5 years of William Ruto. Because another 5 years, I think, might turn into another many years of William Ruto. Everything that I see points to someone who is doing so many things that he does not care about the consequences. And it's one of those things ile, I think nishaibongaga juu yake, kuna msali kwa nabonga juu ya good versus evil and how we as humans look at it. Na alikuwa anasema that anyone who is doing even bad things never thinks they're doing bad things. They just think they are like ahead of their time. They are futuristic. And that, I guess, is what Ruto feels. Najua sisi ndio mafala, si to understand kila naona, but yeye anaona kila naona. And that's the reason why ameamua kila mtu jo e-teams jo kula madondo, but yana e-teams kama si hivyo eko nana. Alafu itakuwa like everyone needs to pull their fair share. But where does this money go? We see 11 billion was stolen kwa Atalanta. Another 11 billion was stolen kwa SHA. So, I don't think that raising money is the problem. The problem is how is the money used?
Because I can't countenance waking up and hearing William Ruto has won elections by 100,000 votes or 200,000 like he did last time. So the members of the united opposition, let them keep doing what they are doing. I said one time that when you go hunting for an animal, that is dangerous, because we are not under any illusion that it's going to be easy. This guy has the state. He has proclivities, inclinations to violence. You have seen it. It is possible for him to manufacture situations such as we've seen in Uganda and in Tanzania.
Damn. Oof. Yeah. Let's go. He has proclivity to violence. Oh. Able to manufacture what we've seen in Tanzania and Uganda, especially Tanzania. Damn, that Tanzania one was horrifying. That one is... Even Uganda could not keep up. Even Uganda was there like, yeah. Ile ati said ilikuwa different. And the sad thing is, remember nikika hapa nikisema that she'd get away with it, and she got away with it. That's the sad thing about life. You know, life is not fair.
To ensure that we don't campaign, you know. So we know that we are up against it. Let nobody think that we think it is an easy thing. No. Yeah. We are up against a very wily politician. You have to give him his flowers. He knows his stuff. So we must accept that he has certain strengths, and then agree that those strengths that he has does not allow much room for sentiment within the opposition ranks.
Right.
All of us must be able to agree and say, this is the formula that will take this gentleman home. When you are hunting an animal that is dangerous, you don't all come in from one direction. You know?
Approach it from different angles.
Yes, you approach it from here. So I'm happy that now we are seeing them in Kisii, we are seeing them in other places. All of us must wake up the spirit of the nation and say, this is a moment that we need to set that precedent, that the people are supreme.
Damn, when you're hunting an animal, it's somewhere you go like, I'm the animal. I'm being hunted. But no, it's not you who's the animal. It's your presidency that's the animal. Your presidency is wild. So kulikuwa na hii, but kitu moja ile of course akina Sifuna amedu ni in the process of najua like his star rising, he's also become a target, because now on the other side when they think of someone to target, they always have to think of him, because kumekuwa na hii story where some people are saying that some people are saying that hii ni moto ya gazeti itaisha haraka, alafu kuna watu wana feel that ita last kiasi. But ye mwenyewe, one of the things that stood out, because baadaye nataka kuonyesha how he was attacked, yes, but ye mwenyewe, one of the things that jazzed me about him is he talked about something that I think a lot of Kenyans ignore, and that's the amount of deaths that we see, and these are normally deaths by the state. And I think it time ya Ruto, that's when people have really come to acknowledge that governments are violent. So, wacha tusikize.
And this is the reason why when people say, oh, we want to hear a clear agenda, I want the people to understand that we are not going to talk about shiny things, you know. We are not going to talk about stadiums. You know, previous politicians in campaigns have actually engaged people box using shiny things like laptops and Barabara and stadium. I remember those billboards of the 5 stadiums in Mombasa.
Damn, kumbukaga hizo? I think watu walisahau. Who got away with so much, eh? Who got away with so much? Who got away with incompetence, of course, inflated budgets, SGR, expressway, his family, of course, theft, Eurobond, a lot of killings. Yes, that's one thing Raya's takaki kusikia. But the Uhuru government used to kill for lunch, dinner, supper. Baby Pendo, Stephanie Mora, the Kionjokoma brothers, and yes, protesters kibao. But of course, stories are Rivayala pia. But one of the things, of course, walipatiana stories are laptops. The laptops never happened. Stories are stadiums. They even had a key poster or a next to stadiums. Damn, where are those stadiums?
All these places. I'm telling you, Mariam, anybody, any person can build a stadium. Moi builds stadiums. But what we are looking for is something higher. Kenya has what I describe as a software problem. And you have to go back to the preamble of the Constitution. This Constitution has a history. There was a life we used to live that then we said this has to stop. And going forward, this is the life that we want to live. And if you go back to the preamble of the Constitution, it tells you the aspirations of Kenyans, the kind of government that they wanted. And our message to the public is that that is the government we want to form. And if you read the preamble, it says, recognizing the aspirations of all Kenyans for a government based on essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law.
Damn. Yeah. Sometimes I think we forget about that, especially the rule of law, because I always feel like if the rule of law is followed, then the rest become automatic. Unajua human rights, hakuna vile uta break human rights na unafuata the rule of law, because the law respects human life. But we're in a situation whereby no one respects human life, of course, because no one respects the law.
Those 6 values are more important than stadiums. You understand? Because everything that we do, we're not saying we don't want development. Right. Because any government, a democratic government, will still collect taxes. And they will still have a responsibility to build roads. But in what environment are they building? So if you see somebody telling you, this constitution requires, for instance, when you construct anything, or any expenditure of public money must be done in a transparent manner. So you have a choice between somebody building you a stadium, and then the Auditor General tells you the costs were varied, 11 billion, no explanation. There was no consultation of the Attorney General, that they refused to use open tender, which is the transparency that we're talking about. And we understand the exasperation of Kenyans, because Kenyans have been yearning for these things. There are those who will be tempted to say, sisi tunataka tu stadium ijengwe.
Damn. Take story 11 billion. It was just a headline. 11 billion. And of course we have to pay this loan. Another thing that I learned was history garbage. Vile tumekuwa tukiteta that Nairobi tunanid garbage ichukuliwe. And you've heard me a lot of times nikisema that garbage collection should be a county function that is used to create jobs for people, like the people of Nairobi, for example. And then you hear that there's a whole tender around it. Najua. And anytime you hear tenders, it's about people making money. It's never about the country. And who was pushing the tender? It was still Ruto. And they're like, damn, man, how much is enough?
It's okay. It's okay because of the history that we have. People are feeling, wacha tu barabara ijengwe hata kama mtu amekula 20%. At least kuna barabara. But we are telling them, even a Democrat can do that. I was giving the example of those young men who were beaten up for no reason while playing pool in Nandi Hills. So mtu amekuletea pesa ya Nyota Fund uanzishe pool. Alafu umeanzisha pool, usiku hujafanya makosa yote, polisi wanakuja wanakupiga. That is the value system that we want to fix. I want to tell Kenyans that we need to go back to the original idea of the sort of government that we wanted to be able to implement this. And there's a reason, in constitutional and legal interpretation, when you have words following each other and there's a comma, the order of the words is not it's not a fluke. It's not happenstance. There's a reason why the first value there is human rights. There is a reason, Then we go to equality and freedom. When you talk to many of these young people in this country, people want to live in a country that is free. It's free. I might not have something to eat, but I am not fearful that the police will knock down the door the next minute.
So, talking of freedom, kuna show tulifanya na boy fulani, Fresh Mzungu, and yes, hiyo show ya Fresh Mzungu itakuwa kianguka at around 10. And I'd want you to watch how scared he was when tulimuuliza juu ya Russia, and the fact that he knows that there are no jobs for Kenyans in Russia. But when he heard that this is being pushed by a CS and it's being pushed by the president, he was scared. Najua, because anaogopa sasa anaweza kujiwa. And kiwachio utanotice kuna pale tunajua kutuko like, oh, Mr. President, abduct Ian. And why are we even joking about that? Because lately, people have not felt free. Najua, this is something that happened, like abductions zilianza, torture. Hizi vitu zina happen under Uhuru, but not to the level that Ruto took them to. And just when we thought that these things had ended, tukasikia Jodem anaitwa Major Owino, the one who was abducted like majuzi. So, I don't know, man.
I give people the example of us. Me, I was born and grew up entirely under the KANU state until I became an adult capable of voting. I was born in 1982 when the KANU state was now becoming the KANU state. You would be sitting in the village under a tree with your father. And when you hear the sound of, they used to have Land Rovers and they bought Mahindras. I don't know if people remember Mahindras. I'm an old man. So this Mahindra had a very Nini specific sound, distinct signature sound. So your father akisikia yo Mahindra pale kwa mlima, anakimbia kwa miwa for no reason. Because those guys would pick you up and 6 months later, your family doesn't know where you are. And there's no explanation that is given because during the KANU regime, detention without trial was actually law. So nobody wants to go back there.
Yeah. So, story the KANU days, and then when we relate it to the first days of Ruto and the way abductions were rampant, because remember there'd be times where more than one person was missing, and that had become so normal. Wanacheki free this person, they are both missing. Then wanakuwa released. Wanacheki I think Ben Kavuli, Billy Mwangi walikuwa missing at around the same time, and they were released in 2 different parts. And so yeah, this thing had become so normal that I think because Moi happened so long ago, sometimes we don't see that these were the lessons of from Moi, because considering that of course Ruto cut his teeth under Moi, so of course that's all he knows, that kind of way of doing things, where I know what's good for you, and the fact that you don't know what's good for you, let me abduct you, torture you kidogo, alafu utabaki umejua what's good for you.
Moi built as a fantastic facility for the All Africa Games, I think it was in 1989. But under what circumstances were people living? So we grow up and we get to 2002, and it's the first time my generation who were born in 1982 have an opportunity to vote. You should have seen the enthusiasm with which we went to the polls, because we want to be free. I don't know how I can explain it. Above everything else, I want to be free, to be able to wake up, to say whatever it is that I want, because the Constitution guarantees me the freedom of speech. If I am going to jail because I tweeted and said, I don't like Latif's nose, that is not the freedom that we fought for. If I cannot assemble somewhere with people because I'll be tear gassed, that is not the country we want to live in. We want to be in a country where people are free to be able to express themselves. And then there is something called rule of law. You know, these things, they're not just, fanciful terms that we throw around.
Yes, the rule of law. The rule of law, I think, is one of the terms that we really misuse. Because hata nachikigi, Ruto time akijam, nasikiaga akisema that everything has to be done under the rule of law. And then you hear all the corruption, and you're always like, okay, so is the corruption lawful in this country? Because with the sort of country where we have so many misplaced priorities that people push, I always call it bullshit moralism over common sense. Because common sense is, I should be more worried about what's happening, like with my taxpayers, and like it will happen, like not taxpayers' money, and than some bullshit topic about what maybe Mario Naipei kuvangodha, ama kama sivyo the Russian guy ulalikuja akavuruga. Hizo ni non-issues, hizo moral issues. Hiyo ni musema gani yako na nyanya yako, inaishi hapo. Hiyo ituhusu. Kitu inatuhusu ni 11 billion stolen from SHA, 11 billion stolen from history ya Atlanta, ni Talanta Stadium. And you start looking at it, oh, Atlanta, oh shit, it's the same shit. Oh damn, I didn't know. Shit. But yeah, unacheki hizo vitu like this and okay, tuendelee.
You visit countries, Eric, and they are Kenyans, my friend. People who have slaved away in European countries, in places like Seattle. I met Kenyans who are doing jobs that many Americans will not want to do. In these old elderly care homes.
Right.
Yeah? And they tell you that after going through all that, doing all these menial jobs, you have saved up some money. Yeah? I want to buy a piece of land in Nairobi.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether once I have put all my entire life saving after doing all these menial jobs, somebody will come and tell me, by the way, hii plot iko na title mbili ama ni ya mkubwa. Usikie hii ni ya senator wa Nairobi. Anakuambia utoke. Na anakuambia, even if, for instance, the rule of law means if there is a dispute between me and you, Latif, and you go to court and you get a court order, everybody, including wakubwa, will respect that court order. Yeah. So somebody sitting there in Australia wondering, hey, maze, I want to come home. Lakini, which home am I coming to? We want a home that is governed by rule of law.
Yeah, the rule of law. I think one of the scariest things inakuwaga hiyo. I think nikitunishaisemaga kwa podcast that Kenya thinks we live na the principle of anything that you buy, you should be able to lose it if a dispute shows up. So ukinunua hao and they come and claim, you know what, that land was not yours. Unafaa kuweza, like it's going to be painful, you're going to cry, but you have to know that's a possibility. And why is that a possibility? Because we live in a jungle, and in this jungle some animals are more like equal than others, najua. And the animals like that's when nakunka like kuna mafala walikuwa na ngoja, wanaamka leo wanaenda kupush muindi kutoka kwa nyumba yake, inabidi wajitetee. Tunakuwa ili happen under Sonko, then saizi pia tumecheki ime happen under Sakaja, the same nonsense. They target specific people. Unapata just tulikuwa tunasikia juu ya some of these like artists kama Kinakuro, while wale wanatarget, unajua wanatarget like people either wasome dedi ama wasome travel, wanaingia kwa house zao na wanaanza kuishi the rule of law. And when you think of criminals, wasofikiriagi juu ya seka Kinakuro, unajua wasofikiriaga juu ya wasitua kutupiga ngeta, wasa kusnatch phone, but pia these are criminals and they are free. Why are they free? Because there is no rule of law.
That if an order is issued against Sifuna, it doesn't matter if he's the president, the order will be respected. Yeah. No investor will come and invest in a country where they are not sure that if a dispute arises between them and the government, that, you know, there are stories, I don't know if we have time. No commercial breaks. So, an investor comes to Kenya, and before they put their mradi here, everybody from the local chief to the MCA to the president is saying, "Bi usiponipea shares in mradi." Yeah. I mean,
it's essentially how almost every project works.
So the message here from Edwin Sifuna is, I want to be part of those that create a government that recognizes the preamble of the Constitution. The preamble of the Constitution is the very beginning of our Constitution.
Yes.
You can go and look at the Constitution of Kenya. It has those...
It gives you the reasons.
Those loyally words.
Not loyally words. This is actually a summary of the reasons why we chose this one.
It's the heart of the Constitution.
Yes, it is the reason. Yeah.
Acknowledges the supremacy of the Almighty God, honoring those who heroically struggle to bring freedom and justice to our land.
Correct.
Okay, damn, hiyo part moja waga nonsense, considering we have freedom of worship and considering we have the biggest debt to China. And remember ile time tulienda kuomba China ibaki to forgive? Remember, how did that work out? Like, I think that's one of the things we always pretend as Kenyans. We just wake up in the morning and we pretend that there was no national prayers for China to forgive our debt. But then reality and superstition don't go hand in hand. The reality is we have China's debt, and the reality is prayer doesn't work. Sorry man, damn, I don't like doing this, but reality.
Correct. Proud of our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, and determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation, respectful of the environment, which is our heritage, and determined to sustain it for the benefit of future generations, committed to nurturing and protecting the well-being of the individual, the family, communities, and the nation. And this is Sisindio Sifuna's main one.
Correct.
Recognizing the aspirations of all Kenyans for a government based on the essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law. And you say,
damn, if these things were just reality, if were not just words on a piece of paper, because we've had them before. We remember when Ruto came in, alikuwa na bonga jua, there'll be no more extrajudicial killings. And of course, ilikuwa around the same time when people were crying about River Yala. Then what happened? I think kuna kuwaga na ile picha moja. I think ule boy kunaitwa Denzel Omondi. The one kuna kuwaga na picha yake where it's an aerial shot of him akifloat in some river.
And the rule of law. And you say the sequencing of these words is deliberate by the drafters of the Constitution.
Correct.
And it stands for something. I wonder, how do you get this?
Now,
how do you deliver this to us?
Now, those people who ask us, this is the entire manifesto of the Linda Mwananchi group. This is the manifesto we will give to the people of Kenya in 2027. That it is possible, by the way, Latif, to live a life that captures all these aspirations, because there's a history to it.
Mecheki. So ilikuwa ni that was Sifuna akiwa NTV. Konene, najua mwaka ni mpya lakini injili ni ile ile lemfi. So kama uko US, uko UK, uko Canada ama uko the UAE na unatry kutuma do Kenya, baki umechangamka, ingia lemfi, utabaki umepata the most competitive rates. Lakini apart from that, on your first transaction ya $100 or more, utapata $20 sign up reward. So unangoja nini? Baki umechangamka, chap chap, ingia lemfi. Lemfi, international payments for everyone. Ekonene. But Sifuna vile nimesema, like right now he's the target. Unajua, he's the guy who's making the most noise in quotes. So in the process he has to be answered. And kuna mse moja anaitwa like Aaron Cheruiyot, and Aaron Cheruiyot just decided to kutoa two gloves zake and go at everyone. So aligo at Sifuna, na apart from Sifuna pia kago at this other person, what's his name, Matiang'i. And yeah, I guess man, wacha tumsikize jo. Ubda alikuwa amekula moto sana, na of course alibaki bring up stories za Rivayala and some what I'd classify as bullshit stories about Sifuna, because if it was real we'd see it in court. But wacha tusikize.
In other governments hakuna siku ungetusi rais kama vile rais wetu anatuziwa. Mara ngapi watoto wa watu mwili zao zilikuwa zinachukuliwa Rivayala na Abadeas? Umesikia maneno kama hiyo inafanyika tena?
Damn, okay. Where were you? Just talked about Denzel Omondi, that aerial shot. Everyone talks about Rex Masai katikati ya tao akishutiwa. We'll go majuzi tubongejwa Albert Ojwang. The list is endless, man.
Silisimamishwa hiyo maneno. Alafu sasa mtu anakuongolewa anaanza kutupatia lecture hapo, ati anatuambia sijui nini. Ati sijui mimi ni nani. Wewe ni nani? Hiyo nani amekwambia tunataka kujua? We don't want to know. Si kila mtu anajijua. Na unajua watu wengine wanaongea na ukiwaangalia tunawajua vizuri sana. Ni watu wanauza madawa ya kulevya, ni wakora, ni waizi, wengine ni extortionist, wamenyang'anya magavana pesa mpaka magavana wamecomplain kwa Senate.
Achekio, watu wengine ni extortionist, wamenyang'anya magavana pesa mpaka magavana wamecomplain. That's the bullshit allegations against Sifuna. Unajua ilikuwa za kina Sifuna wagawana put those governors, unajua like ukikuja pale mbele lazima usweat. So what the governors decided was to come up with this bullshit story that they're being extorted. And then they were asked, if you're being extorted there has to be evidence. There has to be siku ulitoa do ukaipeleka hapa. And there was this SMS, there was this communication. Like how did that happen? Like tuonyeshe evidence yoyote. Of course wamenyamaza. And also, how can you be extorted if you're not guilty?
Alafu wanakuja kutuletea. Yaani wewe ukiangalia sisi unafikiri sisi ni wajinga kiasi gani? And you are very serious extortionist ambaye mnajulikana. Alafu mwingine jana, sijui kama jana mliona taarifa. Kuna mwingine anasema ati yeye alitunga mtihani, hakuna vile kura yake itaibiwa. Kitu ya kwanza, wewe utaibiwa kitu hauna, uko na kura gani kwanza itaibiwa?
Damn, hiyo sasa ilikuwa of course ni Matiang'i. Matiang'i alikuwa amesema, I think this was on Sunday, he said that alikuwa able to stop exam cheating, and that means that election rigging is not something that can affect him. Alafu nachiki Cheruiyot anamwambia kaenda.
Mtu ana kura ataibiwa nini? Kitu ya pili, Kenya hii it is not possible to steal an election. Kura inaombwa kwa wananchi, wanakupatia, unaenda State House. Kwa hivyo wewe Mr. Rivayala, wewe ambaye ulikuwa unatupa watoto ya watu kwa mito, alafu sasa hivi unajifanya hapa na tumbo kubwa unataka kutupatia lecture. Wewe sikia vizuri.
So Mr. Rivayala, Matiang'i, that's one thing we'd want to wish away, but that's one of the things that will always follow him. Rivayala, the Kionjokoma brothers, because the way he handled ilikuwa inaitwa COVID was not good. Yasin Moyo shot kwa balcony. Like why? Because you have to be the big man. Like, and that's one of the things ile mushtukaga sana juu ya Matiang'i. Na chigeta mseka Miguna akicomplain juu yake. He's the sort of guy you cannot trust with absolute power. Because as a CS, he really misbehaved. Really used to disregard court orders. Najua, like just, court orders ziko zinafaa tu kuprintiwa kwa toilet paper. Yeah, because that's what he used to use them for.
Hakuna kura utapata Kenya hii. Wacha kujidanganya na fitina hapo kidogo kidogo. Ati sijui wakati tulikuwa kwa shule tulifanya kazi. The only legacy huko naye katika Ministry of Education ni kwamba ulikuwa unauza mashamba ya mashule kama ile ya Ruaraka na kukula pesa. Wacha kujifanya hapa ati any reforms at progress.
Damn. Salia Mwajo, gloves off. So that was Cheruiyot going at Sifuna and Matiang'i. Alafu, what else happened? Pasaris pia nikalikuwa amepatiwa assignment, na Pasaris yeye kazi yake ilikuwa kubonga juu ya Babu Owino. Na ikikam to story ya Babu Owino, there is one thing that I've always said. And the one thing that I've always said is I never understood how Babu would let his friend talk the way his friend used to talk about Raila. It never made sense to me. And that's the reason why when I heard this, I can't actually say it's bullshit. Najua, you are Sifuna kwa extortionist, I can say that's bullshit. But this, I'm not sure it's wacha tusikize.
Sahii unaona Babu Owino anataka kuwa party leader wa ODM. Na hii kitu haikuanza sasa. Hii kitu ilianza even before Baba died. Babu was doing so many opinion polls for 6 months before. Alikuwa anataka kupewa cheo, I think it was PAC. Alikuwa anataka kupewa chairman of PAC. Na Baba akamwambia no. Aligongea Baba mesa ODM. Akasema, very disrespectful to Baba. Uliona in the last days of Baba, Babu was not coming for any of our meetings. I'm the one who...
Okay, Machikio, very disrespectful. What I've never understood is, I used to see that woman who's right-hand woman wake, like really disrespect Raila. And this is one of the conversations that I could have now. Hopefully, I won't get shot for that. If it ever happens that we may have conversation. But nezataka kujua, how will your right-hand person attack your mentor that much? And you say they just have an opinion. And it's some right whatever person who cannot even get you one vote. I don't think kuna mtu yote anaweza kaa chini ule alikuwa na plan kuvoti ya Ruto alafu akangoja akasikia opinion ya Aoko alafu akachange mind yake. No one can do that. So she's bringing no votes to you. So why would you let her talk like that about your mentor unless you yourself felt the same? So nikisikia hivi where ati wako wanasikizana and they used to bang tables, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Najua,
I'm the one who proposed him to come into the NEC. Last NEC meeting, mimi nilimpigia Babu simu nikamwambia, Babu, come for the NEC meeting. You can't be missing the NEC meetings. You need to make peace. He had no peace with Baba.
Akigonga meza ulikuwepo?
No, but we all heard about it. And also Baba was being, he also arranged for some people to boo Baba outside the party. And even I called, I remember. No, but it was a fact. It was a fact. The party structures, the people that speak in the party who knew about it actually are people that will not speak lies.
Okay, so this, I'm sorry to say, but it looks like it's real. And the reason why it looks like it's real is because of two names, Maverick Aoko. Najua, the way that girl used to attack Raila when Raila was alive and even in death. And that time, as Babu, this is the guy who saved you from prison, because one of Raila's things is save Babu from prison. If you come to stories that evolve. Najua, because kumbuka alikuwa ameitaga Uhuru mtoto wa umbwa, so Uhuru would have wanted to teach him a lesson. So I think having Raila behind him saved him. So for him to eventually have this woman who just go at Raila, like Raila this, Raila me dinyamboch, Raila me didishamboch, or wife wa Raila na dinywa na gaucho. Yeah, it was all this nonsense. Then go as far kudisa kina nani ati watu wa Raila wako either retarded ama wako what, like this is your friend and Raila was your mentor. Makes no sense to me, but maybe I'm a simple man, najua. So for me kuna vitu zile muona that this is too much. When you start going at people's kids and their ailments and talking about najua like someone's wife who's over 70 having an affair na mtu yuko 20, that's not the way nature works. Especially pia ti Raila kulala mboch, that's not the way nature works. The way nature works is the older that men get, the more that the sex drive goes down. And why? Because nature is trying to preserve the species. So the species need a young, vibrant sort of mother. So a 75-year-old, the species is not busy making a 75-year-old horny. That's not nature. Nature won't do that because it does not think that this 75-year-old can handle a pregnancy. The only reason sisi kama humans who have sex for fun because to evolve so much, our brains became so big that if we stopped having it for fun, if it was strictly for procreation, we would not do it. So the fun element had to be there. That's why there's a lot of people, hata kuna raya saizi na nisikiza, ile, you are not planned. Wewe haukuwa planned. Your dad was just trying to bust a nut, and that's how he showed up. And that's why you pia umeamka asubuhi kunisikiza. Eko nene.